We will begin recording.
Well, I'm so happy to be here. It's been a good weekend, despite the weather. I was able to get down to Oldenburg yesterday and facilitate a grief workshop down there, and it's always good to hang out with Sister Olga, with the Franciscan nuns down there and others who attended. And couldn't pick a better hymn or story for this message, but I am absolutely giddy to have this dear lady here, Michelle Koresh. We go way back. Back in the day when I was running a spiritual community down at the Athenaeum, Michelle often played music for us and attended, and I've used her music all the time during my radio show. And with COVID, like a lot of people, we've kind of lost track of each other, each of us doing our own thing. So already planning for us to get together again and talk about some projects or things. So yay, universe. And one thing I always loved about her is, as a former pastor, and then she plays, there was always this beautiful synergy. She has a sense of rhythm, when to play, when to weave out, and I appreciate people who know how to kind of do those things. So that's cool. What I wanted to do is share something that really started off, and it still is, a project of mine that I wrote and put together in 2015 and have done nothing with. But as we enter into 2024, and I use the word auspicious because deep ecologist Joanna Macy, one of my favorite people, often use that word. Oh, Richard, this is an auspicious time to be alive. And people would say, you're crazy, look at all the stress going on in the world. But she saw it as an opportunity that we had to bring love and to bring joy and to bring hope into the world too. We're living at a time where the wars in the Middle East are just continuing to break out and expand to the point where I can't remember a time when I saw much of the Ukraine war on TV. We clearly are having a civil war continue to unfold in our country. People are divided like probably never before, especially political parties. And like many of you, I can't help but always ask that question, what is mine to do? What little part can I play? What is mine to do? It was out of that I created something that I just want to share with you here in the short time that we have together. But what I thought was really cool, because I think I told you, even as a minister for years, and then stepping out of that, the only church I ever joined was UUI. I don't even know if my membership is still there. After Stephen Sinclair left and everyone else left, they might have purged me too. I never called to see if it's still there. But I shared at Oak Landon when I was there about a month ago speaking that I was going over on their website, uua.org, and if you've not checked it out, check that website out. There's a lot of cool information on there. But it was about the 7 principles. And I guess I glossed over them before, but I thought, these principles are my principles. They're a lot of what I started working on in 2015 under what I called One World, All Sacred. And then I added Powered by Journey's Fire, because to me, Journey's Fire, Dr. King had Love in Action, Gandhi had Soul Force. I said what we have is Journey's Fire, based on the Teilhard de Chardin quote. But I just wanted to highlight 3 of them. What's cool about this is when you click on, then there's Unitarian ministers that expand on each principle a little bit more. But principle 1, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. 2, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. And then the 7th, those are the 3 that stood out to me, but I loved all of them. The 7th was respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. So some thoughts, and then I'll just share what I had created, and I hope to maybe do something with as I leave Hospice here sometime this year. There is so much love. There is so much love in the human heart. Yet fear and hatred threaten our planet. Why? Because the forces of hatred, fear, tend to be more disciplined, more courageous in a perverse sort of way than are the forces of love. Hatred has no problem announcing its intentions to the world. Our response should not just be that we oppose hate, we oppose fear. Our response must be that we love the world. Then and only then will love triumph. When humanity doesn't just feel the power of love, but choose to express it in our daily lives, that's when we'll begin to see change. So one day, and this was while I was still kind of doing Journey's Fire, Spiritual Center, a little experiment down at the Athenaeum, I put this together. And also, I trademarked the term when I had my nonprofit, Journey's Fire International. We had it trademarked because one of my board members' wives was a partner at a law firm, so we got it done free. So that was pretty cool. But I came up with this because in talking to my friend Tim Nation, who's had Peace Learning Center for years, he and I both said, you know, the word activist has kind of a bad connotation sometimes. And I was struck by social change. And I was struck by artistry because I'm an artist at heart. And what I love about creation spirituality teaches that everyone in this room, from adult down to child, has an artist inside you. It's that spark of creativity that wants to come out. Doesn't mean you're going to be a professional artist, but we have that desire to be creative. Michelle does it professionally. We want to bring it into our parenting. We want to bring it into our work and maybe into our relationships. But there is that sense of creativity. And Roshi Suzuki said, I'm an artist at living, and my work of art is my life. So all those were kind of flooding in. And then I had occasion to meet a lady by the name of Jean Houston. And she was taking groups of people around the country, and I met her up at Notre Dame, courtesy of Sister Judy and one of my board members who knew her. And I went up there, and she coined the term social artist, teaching people to think outside the box. So social change artist I came up with. I reached out to Jean. I said, it's a little play, but it's different. Do you mind if I use that? Oh, that's fine. So we trademarked it. So what I had was this. Bringing love to life, one world, all sacred. And I said, we are in the midst of great change, and it's an auspicious time to be alive. This positive and inspiring movement, I was thinking big, for celebrating and sustaining life is now unfolding and growing. Through the alchemy of love and the power of creativity, we are consciously turning a critical, troubled time in the history of humanity into a life-enriching, life-sustaining interrelationship with the world. An epic shift in how we live and love is taking place. And what it was about was reaching out and training social change artists. I actually commissioned a group of people to start developing some curriculum. And it included a couple of writers and poets in that too, because here's what I've come down with, and I'm going to make sure I stick to my 20 minutes. I might have shared before, when I was a little boy growing up in Springfield, and we had acres and acres of woods behind our house, and I was constantly, literally living in the woods, couldn't get enough of the woods, and because of that, I fell in love with the trees, I fell in love with the flowers, I fell in love with the critters, the animals, couldn't shoot them when my buddies and I all got BB guns, and we were all trying to man up one another, and I purposely would miss every time, because how could I kill life like that? And it wasn't until later I heard the word environmentalist or even pantheist. I was just a kid who loved nature. And then I realized something, that we protect what we love. And it was years and years later I came across Louis Schwartzberg, then had him on the show, Hollywood cinematographer that was starting to make a name for himself with his time-lapse photography of nature. And it was his way of bringing beauty into the world. And then that viral YouTube thing called Gratitude with brother David Stendhal Ross's voice narrating with his cinematography. I think it's had millions and millions and millions of hits right now. But I've always been drawn to that Richard, I will always protect what I love. I'll protect my family. I'll protect my kids. I protect nature because I love nature. I love Mother Earth. Mother Earth is crying out. Mother Earth is grieving. We talked about that in Oldenburg yesterday. But what is ours to do? And the thought was this. The thought was utilizing artistry, social change artists. People like us, normal everyday people, but also professional artists. And then I got that idea because back in the day, I was part of a TV show that aired on WFYI. We were hoping to be a series, couldn't raise the money for that. And I was the off-camera interviewer, so I was the narrator. And Vicki Green was the director. Clayton Taylor was a producer of it. He was at FYI at the time. And Christine Limley, it was her vision. And it was called Dream Time. It was about dreams and interpretation of dreams. So we would interview people like Carolyn Mace, took a TV crew up to her house in Oak Park, Illinois, interviewed all these heady people. We traveled around the Midwest getting them on there, and it was a really cool segment. But here's my point of that story. It was Vicki's idea because she's kind of an artist at heart, a painter. She said, how about if I put out a call, I guess there's a website or something for artists in this city, professional artists, put out a call that if anybody has any works of art that you either got in a dream or it's about a dream, sculpture, painting, photography, what have you, submit it. We had 330 submissions. Because of her connections, Vicki, there was an art gallery at the time on Mass Avenue on that little corner there. It's no longer there anymore. I can't remember the name of it. And we had a heady for 1 month art gallery showing. So here's Richard. I can't paint stink figures. You know, I acted back in the day, but that was about it. Part of a very heady, very cool art showing, and people were inspired and moved and changed by the art that was in that room for a full month. We had the whole First Friday wine and cheese, and I thought, how cool to use art for something like dreams. How cool would it be to use art, music, painting, sculpture, using kids and youth and adults and professionals to help bring more beauty into the world, because it's the beauty that we fall in love with. It's the beauty that we want to protect. That made total sense to me. So I define this under social change artists. Anyone, man, woman, or child, who enjoys using their creativity toward making a difference in the world. Social change artists are committed to enlightened consciousness and social responsibility, the inner work of heart with outer service in the world. A social change artist thinks outside the box and is a lover of life. And the older I get, the more I'm feeling this. And the more I see what's going on in our country and in our world, I'm feeling this more than ever. Because we all know that anger begets anger. And going to a protest with anger, you're doing nothing. Please just stay home. Until, Jesus taught us that. King got it from Jesus. King taught us that. Gandhi taught us that. The nonviolent movement, which I think is still so powerful, to make that change in our heart, to be able to make that difference out in society. And so then I added even a creed. I called it a Bringing Love to Life creed. Maybe I'll call it One World, All Sacred creed. And these are some of the things that are important to me that I think are important to a lot of people that we could help protect because we fall in love with this. I said, celebrate the beauty of life and the wonder of living. Coming up with programs and even helping our kids to begin to see that, because we live in a cynical world. It doesn't have to be that way. There's beauty, there's magic all around us if we have the eyes and the heart to see it. So 1, celebrate the beauty of life and the wonder of living. 2, choose to see the magic and the everyday enchantment that is all around us. If you're not familiar with the work of Louis Schwartzberg, get on YouTube. He's got a website too. And watch these flowers beginning to unfold, time-lapse, nature. It's just magic in front of your eyes, and it's happening all around us in our woods. But it happens slowly, so we really can't fully appreciate it. We protect what we love. 3, honor the dignity and inherent worth of every human being. It breaks my heart to see what's going on in the Ukraine, in Gaza, in Israel, in other parts of the world. and in this country. It breaks my heart to see more school shootings. It breaks my heart. What is mine to do? Next, nurture and protect every child as they are a precious treasure. After that, I had value the nature of our relationships with animals and treat them with reverence. By the way, I live in Garfield Park, and my neighbor Marilyn and I were scurrying around trying to find these other 3 ferals that are somewhat regular feeders to bring them into her warm front porch. And when I finally got back from a meeting, got back from Oak Landing, and Bella was the last one who refused to go in, I said, "What about Bella?" And she texted me late last night, "Bella's in with the others." And here I am, yay, in my house, because we got Bella in some warm thing for about 4 days. And she's a feral, and nobody else probably even cares about her. But we got to have that in our hearts. Value the nature of our relationships with animals and treat them with reverence. After that, immerse in nature and hold a firm resolve to achieve sustainability. Envision all life forms working together in harmony, cultivating the full potential of the planet. Then I had dance the fusion of the inner work of heart with outer service in the world. Our manual is going to be training people to be social change artists. It's that inner work of heart, taking it out in the world. Then the last 2, reawaken the artist within and redefine art to include our daily lives. And then finally, love and serve the great diversity of life as if it were our own, because it is. Now, I had a reading, which we're not going to do today, but I wanted to share this because I just realized it fits right into that. And the reading comes from my club, Dead Poet Society. And this is Professor Keating. And he says, "We don't read and write poetry because it's cute. We read and write poetry because we're members of the human race, and the human race is filled with passion. In medicine, law, business, engineering, these are noble pursuits and necessary to sustain life, but poetry, beauty, romance, love, these are what we are alive for. To quote from Whitman, "O me, O life, of the questions of these recurring, of the endless trains of the faithless, of cities filled with the foolish, what good amid these, O me, O life? Answer, that you are here, that life exists and identity, that the powerful play goes on, and you may contribute a verse." That the powerful play goes on, and you may contribute a verse. What will your verse be? And so in closing, social change artists live with that fire of love in their hearts. And everything we encounter through the day is an opportunity for service. It's an opportunity for caring for one another. Every moment challenges us to rise to our highest, to choose courage over weakness, forgiveness over blame, faith over faithlessness, and love over fear. And when we can't, we come together and draw on our deeper inner resources, whatever they are for you. Love heals the world by healing our minds. For that which is healed on the level of consciousness is healed on the level of cause. The world will change when we change. So, I say this morning, there's another way of knowing, another way of living, another way of loving on this earth. And that other way is the realm that is full of miracles. It's a world more real than we see around us. It's this metaphysical realm from which we have come. And once again, Walt Whitman wrote, "I know of nothing else but miracles." I say, everything but miracles will dissolve in the presence of love. And we always protect what we love. Thank you.